Sheriff Todd Baxter, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Policy Message James, you might have Town Court, Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court. My name is Chris Chichester. I live in Rochester, New York. I'm demanding public information from you on this July 4, 2023, and you're going to refuse to comply with every single Freedom of Information law here. So I again communicate with you with the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. So, bar 22 in here, you're going to refuse to comply with every single one. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times the prosecutor has not talked in court. When I appear in court for these concocted fiction and lies, in your sick head, have a prosecutor assigned to every court appearance. Prosecutor assigned to every court appearance. The freak is right here, because this is the payroll for the district office. And tell me, Deputy District Attorney Perry Douglas, the names of my prosecutors, and you'll refuse because you're corrupt. I contacted you on January 1, 2023, demanding from you to disclose to me the names of my prosecutors, and you refused because you're corrupt. So is your boss, Sandra Doorley. It's right here. Because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office in Monroe County, where I have a prosecutor assigned to every single one of my court appearances, where I have been delivered to jail 6 times, and who the fuck is it? So, who's Frank Chernesky, Todd Baxter? We'll have to explain this to Controller Thomas P. DiNapoli when I contact him to request that you be audited. Because here he's right here, a 57-year employee of the Sheriff's Office. Is he the old man at the jail? You know him. There's no doubt about it, you have to know him. When I write this down and put this on paper, I understand if I'm not watched by nobody. This will arrive in your office only about Frank Chernesky, possibly 1,000 words, more than 1,000 words. He's the old man in jail, he has to be. If Frank Chernesky's hired when he's 18 years old, that means he's 75 years old. He's a threat to himself to jail if I have the right person. This is your disgusting, sickening, nauseating corruption, where I'm telling you to explain to me where Frank Chernesky works. If it's Monroe County Jail, if it's not, then where is it? Is he the old man at the jail? So, you don't forcibly retire your employees just based on length of service. They have to commit a crime, like Brandy Gadis robbing a gas station on Ladder Road, to activate your bald head, to activate that Benito Mussolini skinhead, you sick degenerate. So, you refuse to answer about Frank Chernesky. So, this is what I think about you. Sort of excellent wallet at Spencer's Gifts when I went to Marketplace Mall. And I thought I need to communicate with Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley and Alex Renzi and Paul C. Metz and James Willie Jr. And Julie Sianka now, who knows the names of my prosecutors who won't disclose them to me. Julie Sianka, public defender of Monroe County, what are the names of my prosecutors? You're returning my mail to me, and so did Mark Phillips, he's the public defender. So you, Julie Sianka, and you, Mark Phillips, you can walk through his parking lot without being arrested. Why is that? Because you're a different kind of American than me. This is why he's a psychopath. I strive to use language with precision. This is why Sheriff Todd Baxter is a psychopath. I'm walking through this parking lot for the 4,000th time, man. And Nayrosh shot his 50-year-old man who lives with his 7-year-old mother, starts screaming out. It's a confrontation with him. Then $67,000 Shannon Meyer calls me. I speak to this freak on the phone for an hour. I have never heard anybody talk like she talks, as far as the odd way she refuses to listen when I'm telling her things like, people walk through this parking lot all day going, why calling me? So this is what she decides to do. Todd Baxter, it doesn't matter to you that this is a freak op, and it doesn't matter to you that this is not a crime. Steve Desmond works for Brock Hall Tree in Long, and they would get there at 7 o'clock in the morning and go nuts and go berserk and ride the tractors all around. And my neighbors and I would talk about this. Shannon Meyer called Steve Desmond of this Brock Hall Tree in Long Care Rap. She said, ride your tractor by his residence and get him to come out of his residence. If he does, I'm going to be there to arrest him with 5 other Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees. The problem, Todd Baxter, you Benito Mussolini skinhead steward, you sick degenerate. For me to walk outside, stand right here, say nobody owns that land, walk back in my residence, that's not a crime. You will have to say that's a crime. And when I say you will have to say, if you had character, you would. But you don't have character. You're not going to disavow you cop freak. That's what I say you have to say this is a crime. And what I'm going to hear from you is stone cold silence because you're corrupt. Todd Baxter, is it a crime, one, to walk through this parking lot? You have to say yes because you gave this cop freak a $16,000 raise. She's paid $83,000. You'll have to say it's a crime to walk this parking lot. You'll have to say it's a crime for me to tell Steve Desmond about Gold Train Longer nobody owns his land and walk back and runs. Timothy Murphy, the Monroe County Office of Real Property Tax Service, can't confirm everybody owns that land. That's number one. Number two, Little Kumar near us don't have the documentation. What do you fail to understand? You psychopaths and cretins? Because I was in Monroe County Jail when I appeared before John P. Lomenzo Jr. for criminal attempt second. Well, the prosecutor didn't talk, and is that Julie Hahn? And was that not Julie Hahn? And you know the answer at the district attorney's office. 2 weeks later, I go to a gym called PW Fitness. It's now defunct. I'm on the bench press. Someone walks to me, Jermaine L. Benman. He stands over me, punches down. My head snaps back violently. Benman walks away. Andrew Reale arrives. He said, let's go out to the vehicle. I'm in the back seat of Andrew Reale's vehicle. And then Andrew Reale tells Jermaine Benman what to say. These 7 words, I want to press charges against you. And that's how I'm charged with harassment second. Do you understand, Todd Baxter? For me to harass someone under the legal definition of law, there's a victim. There is no victim. And he got a $3,000 raise, Andrew Reale, from $79,000 to $82,000. Shannon Garmeyer goes from $67,000 to $83,000. You have these cop freaks that have violated my civil and constitutional rights and rewarding them with raises. So, this is the payroll for the sheriff's office. Right here is Shannon M. Meyer, $83,291.42. What do you pay employees in cents? And on the other page is Richard J. Seaman, $75,904.40. I'm going to tell you about violence, committed a violent crime, but Richard J. Seaman's not going to matter. You and embrace the violence. I walk from where I used to live for the last time, 26 Sanderson Drive, where I lived for 7 years. I don't know this is the last time I leave my residence. Todd Baxter. Richard J. Seaman is outside looking at my front door. These are my 2 questions. Did you send Richard J. Seaman to where I used to live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive? He's looking around at my front door. Or do you not know what this loose cannon cop is doing? And tell me the answer, you disgusting, sickening fucking train wreck. Do you understand me, Todd Baxter? Tell me if you knew Richard J. Seaman was waiting outside my residence that day. I walk into the Pembroke Public Library after walk down Bad Road to 1985 Bad Road. I sit down at the computer after I get a number. 5 minutes later, here comes Richard J. Seaman. I'm going to tell you about a violent crime, a violent attack. It's not going to matter to you. Seaman begins to run at me in the library. He launches himself at me, slams his arm into the side of my head. So it's the force of $75,000 violent criminal Richard J. Seaman's arm hitting me in the head. I fell backwards and then my head hit ceramic tile of the library floor. Seaman picks me up before I marches me out of the library down to Penfield Town Court. This is important, Perry Duckles and Mark Monahan, District Attorney's Office, and why you need to redirect defendants away from Paul C. Metzer and Penfield Town Court. There's no one there from the District Attorney's Office. I will not state something's unconstitutional because of how bizarre the law is in New York. I believe, but you could tell me, it's unconstitutional for Paul C. Metzer to convene Penfield Town Court when the District Attorney's Office is not invited or present for the express purpose of delivering me to jail in a county I don't live in, which is going to be Livingston County. Perry Duckles and Mark Monahan, and you know the answer to Michelle Crowley, Director of Grand Jury. Is this constitutional? Because that means you freaks and fanatics at that District Attorney's Office, Paul C. Metzer in the town of Penfield for $36,000 can send anybody to jail without you knowing about it. Do you understand what I'm talking about here? That this is extremism. That's why this is called extremism. Paul C. Metzer can send any citizen to jail at any point because whatever the fiction and the fantasy is in her corrupt head, without the District Attorney's Office being notified. Is that constitutional, Perry Duckles? Is that constitutional, Mark Monahan? Is that constitutional, Michelle Crowley? You know and tell me. I understand if you don't watch me again, I'll repeat myself. I'm going to write this down. You'll still refuse to tell me. This is also Public Defender Julie Sianka, where I meet my public defender. My head is pounded. My ears are ringing from Seaman attacking me. You know, Public Defender Julie Sianka, that I'm supposed to be in Penfield Town Court for Paul C. Metzer, but I don't know. $87,000, Mark Phillips. What do you think about what I just said? You should answer me, Mark. Because I hope you know. I once had respect and admiration for you. And then when your mail started coming back to me, where you had to know I'm demanding the names of my prosecutors, that evaporated. What do we talk about on the phone, Mark, when I was at Livingston County Jail? SUNY Fredonia, where you're a graduate. I went for 2 years before I enlisted in the Army. And you know what I thought about you, Mark? I thought you had high character. And it's slowly eroding. And it was complete, where I now have no respect for you whatsoever. When your mail's coming back to me, all you had to do to never hear from me again, Assistant Public Defender Mark Phelps and Public Defender Julie Sianka, is telling me the names of my prosecutors. It is insane, one, for me to be in jail when a prosecutor doesn't talk in court, and two, for a district attorney and public defender to refuse to disclose the names of prosecutors in public proceeding. So, Richard J. Seaman violently attacked me. Payroll for the sheriff's office again. These cop freaks. Michael Houlihan lied under oath. This cop freak, so violently attacked by Richard J. Seaman, cop freak. Cop freak Shannon Miles writing a warrant for my arrest for parking lot walked 4,000 times. Michael Houlihan, $73,000, and Don Benedetto, $85,000, hit on the private property of my 72-year-old neighbor. They come running at me in the middle of the night. I've said this repeatedly on Todd Baxter. There's no excuse when I say this to the Department of Justice. We've already been contacted in person with Trinity Ross. When I write this down, send it to the Department of Justice. Benedetto and Houlihan run away. Again, just like Richard J. Seaman, Todd Baxter. Did you know $73,000 cop freak Michael Houlihan and $85,000 cop freak are on the private property of my neighbor? Or did you not know? Are these two again loose cannon cops for the sheriff's office? Just like Richard J. Seaman's a loose cannon cop. Tell me the answer, you revolting, sick, degenerate Todd Baxter. Benedetto and Houlihan come running at me. I never stop running. There's a hammer next to my bike. I grab the hammer alongside my bike. I place the first of my foot on the first 3 steps. I run through the sliding glass door. Michael Houlihan, 73,312.85. Grab my arm, the hammer goes up. I run through the sliding glass door. I never stop running. Never stopped running. Director of the grand jury, Michelle Crowley. You don't know any of this because you didn't call me on the phone. You didn't call me before the grand jury. You want to exist in total ignorance so I can be your ham sandwich. This is a serious matter, Todd Baxter. Now they have to explain what they're doing there. When I'm in the residence, there are other cop freaks outside too. I think there's 7 or 8 of them out there stalking me in Pemberton, New York. When Michael Houlihan came to you, Michelle Crowley, did you ask him what he's doing on the private property neighbor? What's your private conversation with Michael Houlihan and Don Benedetto about this night? Tell me the answer, you revolting hag. I sent you 5,000 plus words in the last 2 weeks about this night and about this grand jury. I'm going to read the foil again. I'm demanding information from you about this grand jury. And you're going to refuse to comply with every single one. Can the cops walk onto private property anywhere in the United States of America? What is your extent of your conversations with Don Benedetto and Michael Houlihan, Michelle Crowley? Did Sandra Doorley meet with Don Benedetto and Michael Houlihan? Did you, Perry Douglas, meet with Don Benedetto and Michael Houlihan? You're expending taxpayer resources for these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots in this grand jury, and I don't know anything about it, and I don't testify before it? I would have defended myself in the most relentless way, the most aggressive way in that grand jury. You, Michelle Crowley, you sick hack. You could have stood in front of me, in front of these 18 to 24 anonymous idiots, and you could ask me any single thing you wanted. You want to indict me because you are the sick obsession with power. That's why. So, every single one of these freaks. Thomas Emerald, $129,000. Thomas Emerald, when I get to the floor about overtime. Thomas Emerald has to have overtime. That's what I believe, Todd Baxter. I believe every single one of these employees has overtime. Is Thomas Emerald at $129,798.24 paid more money than you, Todd Baxter, with overtime, as you're paid $132,000? Tell me the answer. So, freak is on here. The payroll for the district attorney's office. Is it Gary Schultz at 65,523? Is Gary Schultz the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy that sent me to Livingston County Jail when he didn't have to talk with false maps to tell me the answer? So, this is the Freedom of Information Law on this July 4, 2023. There are 22 in here. You'll comply with 0. Because you're extremists. Information about the grand jury convened by District Attorney Sandra Doorley to target Christopher Chichester as 1. Day, month, and year the grand jury is convened. 2. The grand jury. 3. The witness that testified to the grand jury. 4. The vote of the grand jury. Because this is July 4th. I sent that to you on June 30th, which is right here. In this stack. I sent this to you on June 21st, which is right here. because you're an extremist. So when I was released from Livingston County Jail, they sent me a check. Or you sent me to county jail. I get refused because you're an extremist. Issuance of a new check from our office of sheriff inmate at the Penn Public Library and Sheriff's Office. That a duly sworn officer of law is a violent thug and criminal, and that's Richard J. Seaman, who I had a previous confrontation with. He knows exactly who I am. And I'm going to write about double jeopardy soon. When you arrested me for double jeopardy, I was in Monroe County Jail for 5 days for attempted felony assault from Michael Houlihan's concoction of me. Do you know, Todd Baxter, I'm New York's 5-day double jeopardy inmate. How's that explained to the Commission on Correction in Albany when I contacted its commissioners? Alex Renzi released me when I said what I'm saying right now to him. I said they already arrested me. They followed me, they tracked me, they stalked me, arrested me on Penfield Road for the fiction and fantasy they had of Michael Houlihan, took me to Monroe County Jail. I had to appear before Alex Renzi. I said I've already been in jail for this, and he released me. So, is this Julie Hahn or is this not Julie Hahn? Tell me the answer. For any more information on documentation of the case for Christopher Childs, for John P. Lenzer, Jr. Pound Town Court, what's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? I'm in jail for 3 weeks for criminal contempt second and harassment second because of this prosecutor. Who is it? It is mind-blowing. Your absolute total refusal to comply with the law. This is not something that can jeopardize the operations of the sheriff's office, or district attorney's office, or anyone or anything. It's a prosecutor assigned to a public proceeding. And who is it? Julie Hahn is in there with 17% of the vote. When I go back to Albany, which I hope should be soon, and the legislative session is out now, I'm sure you know legislative session in January, June. When it reconvenes in January, I'm going to ask to meet with the state legislature because I used to live on State Street, which is next to Capitol. That's where I'm going to live again. I'm already looking for an apartment on State Street. I'm going to ask to meet with members of the state legislature about changing this law that allows one judge to determine guilt or innocence. That means one judge anywhere from Montauk, which is the easternmost part of Long Island, where I've been fishing many times, to Buffalo and everywhere in between, one judge determines guilt or innocence. Doesn't that bother you just for your friends and family members? One judge can obliterate your friends and family members at the sheriff's office, district attorney's office, like that. From Montauk to Buffalo. It should bother you. This is a 5'2" three-piece suit boy. The freak is right here. Because this is the payroll for the district attorney's office. I'm going to repeat things for you because I'm worried about the state of your minds. This boy freak sent me to Livingston County Jail. And what's the name of this boy freak? Documentation for the case for Christopher Childs for Paul C. Metzer and Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The name is right here. The boy freak is right here. Tell me the name. Christopher.Chichester@mail.com. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604. Or you can call me on the phone and tell me. 813-648-4441. Call me on the phone and tell me you want to get me in front of one corrupt judge. We don't have to talk to the district attorney's office. You can declare me guilty, send me to jail, just languish in jail, and keep me in jail for as long as I want, however long you want. This happens to me over and over and over. 620 Park Avenue, PMB number 361, Rochester, New York, 14604, phone number 813-648-4441. Any number of ways to contact me. Email, my Park Avenue address, my phone number, to tell me the names of my prosecutors. I would be in Albany, New York right now if it wasn't for this prosecutor or prosecutors who forced me into Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court at 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. Who is it? Perry Douglas, Mark Monahan, the District Attorney's Office. You know who it is. For any more information on the documentation of the case for Christopher Childs for Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court, what is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Payroll for the District Attorney's Office. The freak or freaks are on here. Do I have one freak that's a prosecutor? Do I have multiple freaks? Tell me who it is. Is it Monica Brooks with $17,000? Is it Nancy Gilligan, $118,000? Is it Denise Capone at $44,000? Is it Barbara Davies at $55,000? I'm only using female names because there were two females standing behind me. Who is it? Or did this Alex Renzi decide when I'm at my temporary residence, 70 Liberty Pole Way, that he wants me in New York State Supreme Court and you don't have to be notified at the district attorney's office? Could that happen? Did that happen? When I write to him and ask him who those two females behind me, or if they're just court employees, he could say that to me. What he's going to say is nothing because he's corrupt. It is possible that Alex Renzi just demanded that I be in his courtroom and then remanded me to Monroe County Jail, and you don't know anything about it. And is that constitutional? I don't know. Tell me what the answer is. He's in existence silence. There is, I believe, a commission on judicial conduct. I don't know if it's a temporary commission or permanent commission. I'm sure you know commissions can fade away. There was a commission. I don't know if it faded away. But there has to be some type of regulatory power and control over him. Of course, it's the Department of Justice. But this is, again, what's really frightening about a fanatic like him in there with 25% of the vote. I believe he thinks I could do whatever the hell I want to anybody. And he certainly did it to me. Who is it? Please tell me that I don't have a prosecutor, because that's really the lunatic fringe. And it's just him. Todd Baxter, when did you get your medical degree? Because you drove me from Monroe County Jail when I was there the first time to a place in Elmwood Avenue where I don't have a physical examination. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I will not say something's a federal crime if I don't know, and I don't know, but I believe that this could be a federal crime. You just drive me over to this center on Elmwood Avenue where I'm not examined by a doctor. And I'm there for 3 weeks. Where did that 3 weeks of my life go? Dr. Jeremy Smith released me where he said you shouldn't be here. I'm in there with a man named John who really is terrifically nice and friendly. And I couldn't figure out why he was there, and I'm going to find out. Because he said to me we're in a concentration camp. And I tell him, this man who's about 70, it's not true. I'm there with a man named Victor who's drooling on himself. This is a nightmare, this place. When I was on a cross-country team in high school, there was a place just like this in Kings Park. Because Sunken Meadow State Park is in Kings Park. And when we drive by it on the bus, the cross-country team, this place in Kings Park on Long Island is closed. There's a story in Newsday, Long Island newspaper. My father worked for Newsday for 20 years. He's the engineer in charge of the printing presses. There's nobody there at this facility in Kings Park in Suffolk County. Yet I'm in a place just like that, without any type of physical examination. These places are empty these days. Do you know why, Todd Baxter? Because it's against the law to keep a human being in a place like this who's not mentally ill. Do you understand what I'm talking about, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Where I'm in a place like this where I'm not examined by a doctor before being deposited in it. Copy the private health care records delivered to $28,000 Paul C. Metzer by Sheriff Todd Baxter from Monroe County in violation of the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. It's been federal law for 25 years. My former boss, Congressman Morris Smith, chaired the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Courts and the Internet. And then when the full committee would convene, I'd go to committee hearings because I was a staffer for Congressman Smith. I was his press secretary. They would occasionally have hearings about healthcare records and privacy concerns. I'd be in the full committee of the House Judiciary Committee on Capitol Hill where I worked for 5 years. And they'd be talking about things just like this. Privacy, healthcare records. And then you want giving my healthcare records to this $28,000 bald-headed widow because she asked me if I was at this place on Elmwood Avenue. The only reason why she asked me is you gave her my records of being there. Sheriff Todd Baxter. I'll identify the lunatic fringe before I say it. I'm going to show you a photograph of the lunatic fringe. It's in your office over and over and over. The cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building 2025 Banff Road to monitor for Chichester at 26 Sandra Farm Drive. Walk through the parking lot and exit the building. And that's the lunatic fringe. How many times do I have to demand of you? If this is private technology on this building at 2025 Penfield Road, or if you expended taxpayer dollars and bought it for me. Public Defender's Office sent me the images. I first saw myself on the phone of a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee. When you took me downtown and locked me in a holding cell for this ridiculous concoction of criminal time. Second, I urinated on myself. The Monroe County Sheriff Office boy came to me with his phone with a gruesome smile and said, I want to show you something. And there I am on this contraption, 2025 Penfield Road. This is for a business called Consumer Insights. Welly Roth's the president. You refuse to answer because you're an extremist, Todd Baxter. This is the very definition of extremism right here. Using this camera, even if it's technology you bought or it's private technology, trying to nail me to the wall and concoct the crime for me because you're then $67,000 cop freak. She should be fired immediately. Not because you care about civil and constitutional rights. This cop freak, Shannon Meyer, the whole time she's at the sheriff's office, she'll be concocting crimes for innocent citizens like me. This is sexual harassment at sheriff's office, district attorney's office. I'm not going to define it in already 26 minutes, but I already have. You know the answer. The cost of taxpayers from Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter suspended taxpayer settle employment-related discrimination laws without apply with Title VII Civil Rights Act 1964. Tell me what the answer is. You know the answer. $0 Michael Radler, $34,000 Kathleen Miller, $101,000 William Tadeo. For your information, the cost of taxpayers with district attorney Sandra expended taxpayer settle employment-related discrimination laws without apply with Title VII Civil Rights Act 1964. Perry Douglas. If you were concerned about sexual harassment at the district attorney's office, you would call one of your employees into your office, like a $95,000 Dawn Stop, and ask her, have you ever been sexually harassed? You know anybody that's been sexually harassed at the district attorney's office. You call one of your employees, like Christine Fantayuzo, at $61,000 and ask her if she's been sexually harassed. She doesn't know anybody that's been sexually harassed at the district attorney's office. And I'll just go to one more name here. You would ask Bridget Morgan for $76,000 if she's been sexually harassed at the district attorney's office. She knows anybody that's been sexually harassed. I think there are about 150 names on here. And I've ridden my bike by 47 South Hitch. Is everybody at the district attorney's office? I think it's an impossibility for everyone on this payroll to be at the district attorney's office. I looked at it. This is my exact thought. How's everybody in there when I had the payroll? That's why you're freaks. That's why. You refuse to disclose the names of my prosecutors. You refuse to disclose to me if you're in compliance with federal law. It's Title VII. And when you demand information, you better goddamn well receive information. He's going to get this community range. This is sexual harassment in New York State Supreme Court. I just started to write this. The cost of taxpayers if supervising Judge Alex Renzi in New York State Supreme Court expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits failed to comply with Title VII Civil Rights Act 1964. He'll look at this in New York State Supreme Court. When he receives it this week, his immediate thought, well, I want to send him to jail. Which he can succeed in doing. Because he freaks and fanatics. Because you're extremists. What's overtime? Time and a half. Time back. So on his payroll here. On his first page of the payroll. For overtime and time and a half. Right here. The first name, Ronald W. Harling, $95,000. Is Ronald W. Harling at $95,000 with time and a half for overtime paid more money than you? The last name on the payroll. Frederick S. Bancroft III, $128,000, just $5,000 less than you. Can Frederick S. Bancroft, the last name on the first page of payroll, can he be paid more money than you with time and a half overtime, however that's done? When I was a public employee for the majority in government, there was no overtime. You know why? Because when you work that 41st hour, elected officials, 200 plus members of the Assembly and Senate, don't want the political liability of their employees existing at $150,000 and doubling their salaries. No one was paid more than $100,000. Can your $100,000 cop freaks like Frederick S. Bancroft III be paid more money in overtime? Can your employees that make less money than you, like Ronald W. Harling, $95,000, be paid more money than you with overtime? What's the answer? You refuse to answer? Because you're an extremist, because you're corrupt. That's why. Same foil for the district attorney's office. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, however, beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. Payroll for the district attorney's office. I'll go to the third page. Payroll again. How do you get everybody in that little shack? So here is Bridget Morgan, 76,888. Can Bridget Morgan, employee of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, receive time and a half overtime? What's the answer? So here we have the last name here. One of the last names here is Ryan Lamone, 66,986. So can this Bridget Morgan and Ryan Lamone be paid time and a half overtime at the district attorney's office? Tell me the answer. You refuse to answer because you're extremists, because you're fanatics, because you're corrupt, because the law is a joke to you. That's why. So I don't have any clothes because of you, Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley, 80-year-old Antino Spano, were right to come and complain about him locking the doors and locking me out. 80-year-old Antino Spano, Fairport, New York, won't be arrested. I'm not going to show off this photograph because I don't have so much time. I took a picture of the employees underwater in the pool. I don't care. It's a private event. Tell me this is tax dollars. Cost photography session. Photograph 10 Monroe County Sheriff's Office employees underwater in the pool. I've ridiculed that over and over and over. Penford Court, $28,000 Paul C. Metzer, $34,000 James Finley Jr., where there isn't a jury box for a jury of 12. There isn't a witness stand for witness testimony. There isn't a table for a defense attorney or public defender. There isn't a table for a prosecutor. And this fucking room is a joke. And you love this room. You love the assembly line of guilt in this room, which is right here. These are the list of defendants in Penford County. It's not everybody. My friend Adam had to appear before John P. Menzer Jr. He has such hatred for John P. Menzer Jr. He uses a four-letter word that begins with a C to describe him. And that's exactly right. Prosecutor didn't talk to court. Is that Julie Hahn from me? Look to jail. How many employees are Penford Town Court? $28,000 Paul C. Metzer. Freeman Mitchell. Names 2. Alex Renzi is going to look at the scenario. Name Salisbury, public employee, New York State Supreme Court on the supervisor Judge Alex Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, 14604. I'm trying to find out if he has clerks. He has to have some type of assistance as he's the supervising judge. When I walk by the Supreme Court to get to the Russell Center office building while I worked in Capitol Hill, I really sometimes would be in awe about the building, despite the fact that there were fanatical decisions at the Supreme Court like Roe v. Wade and Dred Scott. But I would think about the book The Brethren by Bob Woodward, and then I would hear my friend, his name was Greg Watkin. He was a graduate of the University of Notre Dame and Georgetown Law School. And I already knew this, but he went into detail about things that he knew because being a Georgetown Law graduate and knowing the other attorneys on Capitol Hill, he would tell me about things he knew about the Supreme Court that I hadn't read in books like The Brethren and elsewhere about. The clerks really control the whole place for the Supreme Court. And I heard this from other attorneys too. Any rumor mill of Capitol Hill, which is an active, vibrant rumor mill, you hear things all the time. You think that's really weird and out there. And Albany's the same way. So I'm trying to find out if he has clerks because he's the supervising judge in New York State Supreme Court. When he gets this and looks at it, his thought is, I want to send him to jail. Dame Sally's a public employee in New York State Supreme Court and the supervising judge Alex Renzi, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York, 14614. Sarah Fisher will land Georgia Stars and Bars, Georgia. I've held up that revolting Stars and Bars. He's there in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Ryan Fisher, Monroe County Sheriff Office employee. Did he take his dog with him on a plane? Or did his dog get separate transportation? His dog is German Shepherd Lola. Monroe County Sheriff Office employee Ryan Fisher is in Atlanta, Georgia with his German Shepherd dog Lola when violence crashes down in the city of Rochester, where police officers are murdered, where the freaks and sociopaths are out on Monroe Avenue every single day. I see these freaks and sociopaths outside screaming at each other. Cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher to attend the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019. Tell me what the answer is. Contract for your weapons, Todd Baxter. This is what I believe can remove you from office. Do you understand, Todd Baxter, that this is a contract and you expend taxpayer dollars at your Monroe County Sheriff's Office to have these weapons delivered to your possession? Who's the contract and what's the price of the contract? Tell me the answer. You will refuse because you're an extremist. The contract signed by Sheriff Todd Baxter to purchase firearms from Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to include 1, the name of the firearms contract, 2, the number of firearms purchased, 3, the amount of tax dollars to purchase firearms. This corruption in state contracting, corruption in federal contracting, that's what I'm attempting to find out. All travel. If Ryan Fisher is in Atlanta, Georgia, if $163,000 Michael Fowler and $155,000 Corey Brown in Saratoga, and you're at the House Rules Committee, then you're extremists are leaving Monroe County all the time. You're paying for your extremists to leave Monroe County. Freedom of information cost for all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Do you understand, Todd Baxter, the House Rules Committee has nothing to do with law enforcement? And what were you doing there? Tell me. when I contact you. It's an internal committee that sets the rules for debate on floor of House of Representatives. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Todd Baxter has nothing to do with law enforcement like the House Judiciary Committee. They don't want anything to do with you, and that's why you were deposited in the House Rules Committee. You pathetic diva. Are you Perry Douglas and Mark Monahan going to these conferences in Albany or in Washington, D.C. or anywhere else? Cost of travel for the district attorney's office. What is it? The cost for all travel from Monroe County and New York State by employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Sandra, Doorley, tell me the answer. She refused to answer because she's an extremist, because she's corrupt. Paul C. Master James Freeland Jr. saying for what? The cost for all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees of Pemberton Town Court 1985 Bad Road, Pemberton, New York 14526. I went in there once after I got out of Monroe County Jail the first time. I sat in front of John P. Lomenzo Jr. I think I was about the fourth row of these pew seats. Everybody was guilty. They bring the defendant's scale in. He'd sit there, guilty, take the person out. It's just like the Soviet Union in there. Pemberton Town Court 1985 Bad Road, Pemberton, New York. Freedom of information will cost for all travel out of Monroe County, New York State by employees of the New York State Supreme Court, 99 Exchange Boulevard, Rochester, New York. There are 18 at the hackocracy. That's New York State Supreme Court. He'll look at this. I hope he's in a rage, this Alex Renzi. I'm confident Alex Renzi was at this event. I think it was the New York State Magistrates Association. I said this to him in New York State Supreme Court. I said to Alex Renzi, will you look it up at that thing? Because it was really disturbing. There's a picture on Facebook of him. He had a drink in his hand like this. This could be fruit punch or something. I don't know. But I'm trying to enrage him. And I don't care if he's drunk or not drunk. I'm trying to enrage this hacking fossil. My exact words for him, he looked at me with hatred. So I'm trying to find out if high society Alex Renzi is going to other events like this New York State Magistrates Association, and the taxpayers are paying for Alex Renzi to go to New York State Magistrates Association or anywhere else in the state of New York or out of New York. So, you pathetic diva. You live in Webster, right? I lived in Webster with my girlfriend, Laura Riley. I've been all over Webster. Many parts of it are really terrific. Sandra Doorley, when you leave your residence in Webster, do you get in a car and drive it to the office, just like ordinary New York or not? Or do you have a chauffeur that drives to your residence in Webster at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then waits in your driveway? And you get in a car and then you're chauffeured into the district attorney's office and tell me the answer. You refuse to answer because you're an extremist. Freedom of information on the cost of taxpayers from an automobile driver for District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Communicated to you on this July 4, 2023 on this Independence Day. So you have it. All 22 here attached to PDF is now 38 minutes. It's so predictable what you freaks and fanatics and extremists can do. You can apply with 0. Christopher, what are you talking about? You're in jail when a prosecutor talk to court. And Christopher, what are you talking about? You were charged with arrest for second sitting in the backseat of a police vehicle. And Christopher, what are you talking about? You're charged with a crime when you tell a man on his tractor nobody owns the land next to your residence. And Christopher, how are you charged with assault on your back porch when you ran away the whole time? This is an agonizing conversation with my mother, who's using my full name. I don't go by my full name. This is what you're doing to me. Well, my mother's using my full name, and I have to explain to her the destruction of my life. I'm as motivated as any human being on planet Earth for justice. So this is an envelope for Paul C. Mentor. I haven't opened this yet because I will get physically sick. What's in here? You disgusting sick hack. So, I moved from 1 Pleasant Street. I was in Law 520. Again, why Rochester, New York City freaks. When I lived on C Street and Constitutional Avenue in Washington, D.C., I had a key. When I lived on State Street in Albany, New York, and Winthrop Avenue in Albany, New York, I had a key. I have a key now. So I'm trying to have a normal life. I can't have a normal life when you psychopaths smash me into many little pieces. I had what's called an electronic key fob at 1 Pleasant Street, where I would leave that worldwide news and walk down Pleasant Street to get to my residence. What is around that transit center is extremely alarming. And while you're concocting crimes for me, Todd Baxter, you're not doing anything about that criminal presence at the transit center with twin brothers, Donald and Ronald Brown, murdered on Maui Island, right outside of it. When your cop freak Shannon Meyer is concocting crimes for me, when your cop freak Michael Houlihan is lying under oath, When your cop freak Richard Seaman is violently attacking me at the Penfield Public Library. When your cop freak Don Benedetto was stalking me. When your cop freak Lee LaRoque is in my residence with documents, it's not a search warrant. There's real violence going on right around at that transit center, and you're not doing anything about it. Lee LaRoque, why were you in my residence with that search warrant? Where's my Chromebook? Two people decide to get into a residence. Public defender Judy Siong is constitutional. When I was in Livingston County Jail, Lee LaRoque is in my residence. How many Monroe County Sheriff Office employees were in my residence? Paul C. Metzer wrote a quote-unquote search warrant. Lee LaRoque went into my residence, tore the whole place apart. My bed was turned over. My couch was turned over. My books were taken out of the bookcase and placed on the floor. My dress greens for the unfirst airborne division were on the floor. All my clothes were on the floor. The pots and pans were taken out of the cabinet and placed on the floor. The place was ransacked by you $97,000 fat girl, Lee LaRoque. What's the probable cause to be in my residence? I know what it is. It's a lie. I looked at the wreckage of my life with you disgusting, sickening 40 pounds plus overweight fat girl. Where is my Acer Chromebook, $97,000 Lee LaRoque at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Please tell me you don't know where it is. You can't locate it. So, this is what you need to do, you freaks and fanatics and extremists to Sheriff's Office. You need to arrest me immediately with the new fiction, new fantasy, the new lies in your diseased brains, because I'm going to be in Albany soon. I hope to beat the Travis Saratoga, one of the greatest races in horse racing today. I don't believe I won't. Because one of you extremists will just concoct another piece of fiction, another lie from me. You use Pretrial Services Corporation on me, which used to have to call, even though I don't have a trial schedule. The 1984, what you think is justice in Monroe County. Me having to call Jamie Belliard at Pretrial Services Corporation under the threat of being returned to jail when I don't have a trial schedule. Pre-trial. No trial schedule for me. It's just a mechanism used to return defendants to jail. So, it's just about money. If I have money, I want to spend one goddamn day in jail. Every now and again, you get to be a part of justice being done. And that's really quite a thrill when that happens. Tom Hanks in Philadelphia. My name is Chris Chester. I live in Rochester, New York. I'm trying to be a part of justice being done.